how you see the world and what other people do to you. I'm just trying to think of an experience. No, I won't go to that one. So, generally throughout your lives, you've just got to be aware that there's going to be people out there that are going to come up, and we call it PPP, poking and provoking, okay? And you're going to come on PPP all through your life, and it depends how you react with that. Teenagers are really, really good at it. They know. I've got the teenage 18-year-old, and I've got the 14-year-old as well. She's just coming into that. So, you know, I've been with at home all day today, and I've had plenty of practice, like trying out my skill. Thinking this is a great opportunity, trying to sit there and do some work, and, you know, she wants help with her homework that she should have done last week. So, you know, so I'm practicing on myself all the time. Yeah, I do get stressed, but it's how I deal with that stress. When they do, you know, I'm not perfect, I won't be. I'm getting better at it. What I'm doing is stopping people, pressing my buttons, and I can deal with it and I can change it. I flip it over, laugh about it, change my reaction to it, okay? When you're in, I don't know, a lot of people get stuck in relationship issues, okay? So you've got your person over here and your person over here, children, whatever it is, and you start getting this thing where, they, you know, you start banging backwards and forwards, pressing each other's buttons. You've got your little buttons down here, and you know how to poke them and press them and get everyone excited and everyone jumping around. So what's going to happen is, when we do this and we tap it, what's going to happen, if you can change yourself and change what's inside of you, it's going to break that cycle. They're not going to hit those buttons, you're not going to respond in the same way. You're going to speak differently, act differently, and gradually things start getting that ripple effect. Everything changes beyond you, beyond them, okay? So, and I've been a great experience of this because I think it was about a year ago. Was it a year ago? No. I think my daughter had an accident. It must be 2 years ago. She came off a horse and had this really bad... This is what got me into doing this tapping. She had an accident. She came off a horse. The horse came up over to jump, got its legs caught, flipped over and landed on her head and nearly killed her. And I was standing like about here from it, you know. Before I did this, I couldn't even talk about it. I couldn't have even verbalised it to you. I'd have just been falling on the floor crying. And then I think my dad died, and then just all these different things. My partner was sick, and you know, come in. Oh,
sorry, I thought it was 6:30.
Oh, that's right. It's because last time it was 6:30. Come in.
Okay.
We're just talking a little bit about it. Yeah, you probably didn't get the information. You come up from Nambucca.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm going on.
Oh, good. Come in. It's the women tonight, no men tonight.
Sorry.
It's no men tonight, just saying the men don't get stressed.
Yeah.
The men are unpacking their gear.
Yeah.
No, they have to deal with this.
Yeah.
That's all right too.
The drugs, yeah, we can do that. But we've got a better way.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're just having a little, I'll give you a little recap in a minute. So just looking about stress. So anyway, going back to the incident with my daughter, she fell off the horse, you've probably heard this one. And I went to sort of counsellors, yeah, and they helped a little bit, but it was alright while I was in there and crying and letting it all out. And as soon as I walked away, it was still there, and it was just there in my head the whole time. I was getting anxiety attacks, and didn't want to go on trains, I didn't want to go into cities. And every now and again I'd feel this thing that I really, really didn't want. You touch it.
Oh, baby.
You were there. Yeah. And I'd never ever had one in my life before, never had an anxiety attack. And I thought, what is this, you know? And then I thought, now I look back at it, I think someone gave that to me just to show me what it is so that I could stand up here and talk about it, so help people deal with it, you know. So I took it as a gift, you know. Thank you very much, that's a really nice gift. Luckily, I found some really good help and know how to deal with it. So I haven't had another one since, you know. And they started to get big. And the thing with anxiety attacks, what they do is I don't know who, anyone has ever had an anxiety attack? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you keep getting them, okay? So basically with your anxiety attack, it's your body's response to the perception, okay? And your body gets really, and in your mind, it gets really, really good at playing over the what ifs, you know, if I go out and get on that train, and then this happens, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and suddenly it's this huge big thing, and then you go, bang, I can't do it, I can't go there, I can't let myself get in that situation and panic myself, yeah? Yeah, so it becomes huge. So what we can do is, before that starts to take off, we can do a thing which is the tapping thing, which will break the cycle. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the cycle from the mind to the body, okay? So change how your body perceives stuff. And some people will sit there and look a bit shocked because it's something the mind has done for a very long time. It's played this over and over and over, this sort of movie or this scenario. You know, you can play it forwards and backwards, and it would play this scenario. And I was doing that with my daughter who had the accident on the horse. I could play the scenario over, and every time she went near a horse or anything happened, I'd play the whole scene over. And it'd be like living it every time. So I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, which I thought only soldiers got, but no. And I was given a label, which made it worse, I think, because then I had this label and I knew I had this thing. And then all I wanted to do was get rid of it. I didn't want it. I just did not want it in my life. And I couldn't get an answer. The counsellors couldn't get rid of it. And I just was dragging it around. It was like this great big rock. And I was dragging it everywhere with me. I don't want this in my life. This is just too hard to deal with. Plus, like, you know, you've got children, you've got to run, you know, as being a mother, you're the centre of the universe, you know, like everything circles around you. If you fall in a heap, and you know if you fall in a heap, everything in the house collapses in on that, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And so I was getting to this stage, and then my daughter got in trouble with the police, you know, so this whole thing was just collapsing in on me, and I was just a mess. So anyway, luckily I got introduced to somebody called Robert G. Smith, who came over from America. And a friend of mine, she'd had like menopause problems and all this stuff, and she was having. Oh, you get them too, good.
Oh, this is that's where I'm at.
You're at the menopause, great, okay. I had menopause symptoms too, but not anymore. So she was having all these menopause symptoms, couldn't go out, getting old, you know, she was a singer in a band, and, you know, life is too hard. She just went, oh, I can't do anything, I'm ugly, I'm old, and life's crappy, and, you know, poor thing. And so she went off to see another friend who worked on her, and then she was another practitioner, so she worked on her, and then this lady came back to come to do the seminar, which is what I went up to in Brisbane to do about a year and a half ago. And they put me in the magic chair like this, and I got tapped on by Robert G. Smith, who came up with this formula, which I'll go into a bit more in there. And I think it took about 15 minutes, it knocked it completely over, it was gone. You know,
wow.
Yeah, it was completely gone. And you know, and you'll see when I do it on someone, you go back and you'll try and look for it, you'll try and find it inside yourself, and you can't find it, okay? And then you get a flip. So what he did with me, he put me in the chair, he played over the scenario in my head, and I could barely talk, and he was like... and then he got me to play it. So it's using a bit of an NLP, which is like hypnosis, a few techniques. It's a mixture of NLP, acupressure points, and just basic talking methods, okay, and tapping, which is breaking the mind to the body connection. And it just confuses the mind. In the end, the mind can't remember stuff that happened, so you go back, and I was trying to play this over, and he kept getting me to go play. And in the end, it just wasn't there, and then we flip it, and then we put in a good scenario. So now when I play the scene of her riding around, she was doing her last round, she was going to win the big prize, okay? She was trying to win the big cup of like being the champion of champions at this event. So now when I play it over in my head, she wins and she rides around with the cup and she's the winner. Okay, so that's all I see now, and it's gone. And then with that, it knocked out everything else. It knocked out all the anxiety attacks, it knocked out, you know, about stuff, my dad dying, and all the guilt, and all the other issues that went with it. So it was really fast, really effective, and just like incredible. It's what I was looking for. It's what I knew it was out there, I knew it was somewhere, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what it was called, and then I found it, and I was very, very relieved. So that's a little bit about my story. So I've got all these notes, but I'm not even looking at them. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing on that. Okay. Yeah, so just basically going back to that flight or fight mode as well. If we stay in that state of mind, you know, where your body's in flight or fight all the time, that stress keeps building up. It's like a bomb, you know, like you're building up, and it's like the volcano suddenly blows its top, and then it's off, and you've got no control, no hope of getting back to that calm place. Okay, so what the technique I'm going to show you in a minute is we're going to go back, and you'll be able to tap and work on this method and stop it. So as soon as you recognise yourself going into that scene or playing the scene over where you're going to, you know, or you'll start recognising the smallest little thing, and you'll start getting, as soon as you notice that, you tap and go, it's okay, and you bring it back to a level base, so you come back to this level point. And like today I was doing it on the way here, I thought, oh God, you know, I've not done very many. I'm a teacher by trade, but I've not got up and talked about this very often. So for me to get up here and actually talk about it is huge, because on the way down here I was thinking, I'm going to have to get up and talk. And I thought, this is great, because this is really putting me where I need to be. You know, like I'm stressed, I'm worrying about it, tap it away, it's gone. You know, and then I suddenly got this headache, these 2 pains in my head, and I went, oh, that's really interesting. There they are, there it is, and notice what it was. Deal with it, tap on it, greet it, hello, hi, you little devil, there you are, you're making, you know, that's where you've gone into my head. So tap it away, bring back myself to a neutral point. So I just can stay in this relaxed state pretty much all day long. I can stay, unless I let something really bother me, I can bring myself back. And as long as I get in there quick enough and tap on it, you know, and that's pretty hard with teenagers running around and kids, you know, like you've got to, but you can mentally tap it. So you've got to do fast, yeah. So you
Nip it in the bud.
Huh?
Nip it in the bud.
Absolutely, and in that very moment that you feel it and you know it's there, okay? And it's a practice, you know, like, so it's a self-healing technique. What happens as well if bigger issues come up, like there's some big things that you know, stuff that might go back to childhood, big issues, and I tapped on one of the young girls that I work with down at Bucker, Leanne works down with me, and she's been having panic attacks and stress and been smoking heaps of drugs. You know, she's got a little girl. And she came in the other week and she was beside herself, and I said, do you want me to tap on you? Yes, because I tap on the other counsellors down there as well. So they'll get a good tapping back, because they're stressed, they're dealing with teenagers all day long, and it's hard work. So I tapped on this teenager, and then I couldn't get hold of her for a whole week, so I wanted to know how she'd gone, but she sat there and she was stunned. She goes, I don't know how you did that, but that was amazing. And then the week later, it opened up the lid of this box of stuff that she'd been pushing down for years and years and years. She's got drug parents, you know, like really hard childhood, really rough. She didn't have a child, she had to bring her kids' sisters up and look after them. So, you know, she's been through an awful lot. And she's been pressing it down for years, like it's been suppressed, or she's been drugging it, you know, to numb the pain. So tapped on her, and this lid flew off of her box, and she had a really bad week. She was really stressed and you know, and having anxiety attacks. And then when I went in there to talk to her, I tapped on her again that following week, and we shifted some stuff. And then when I saw her last week, she'd had a really good week. So some of the things can, you know, once you take the lid off and let the things start coming up, then sometimes it takes, you know, a few tappings to get down to the base of it. And each week something will come up, something will come up. But once you know the skills of how to tap with it, you can keep moving on. You know, tapped on men, like the 60-year-old men that have been, you know, pushing it down for all that time, and they finally it's been allowed to go. So and at first I was a bit worried, because I was thinking, oh, what have I unearthed here, you know, but then I realised she's actually on a healing path. Since then she's gone in touch with, and she's never done this before either, has she? So I got you to back up. And yeah, and like she's had counselling for years. She's been there since she was 12, you know, like, and she's had counselling for years and years and years. She's about 22, yeah. And all this stuff has just been huge for her, but finally she's gone, no, I really need to deal with it, I'm ready to deal with it now. So it did open it all up, and it was hard for her, but now she's going to go into rehab, she's going to get rid of the drugs, and her life is going to change beyond measure. You know, she knows how to deal with it now, so it's been huge for her, and, you know, and a really, really big step, you know, like, and the biggest thing is facing your worst fears, okay? When you go there, you've got to find, like sometimes they come up and you have to deal with it, like that post-traumatic stress. I had to deal with that. I couldn't keep going like that, because I was just going to end up in a psych ward. So sometimes you've got to just go to the worst of the worst of the worst feelings. You've got to go to the worst, the thing that's going to bother you the most, the thing that's going to upset you the most, the worst case scenario. You know, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you? And once you know that and you actually verbalise that, if you've seen that pain, you get tapped on. The good thing about this is, well, you don't have to verbalise it. So if stuff happens in the past that you don't want to actually say what it was, you can do it like a non-verbal tapping. I can just tap on the feelings and the sensations, and you can tap it away as well. But like I say, so sometimes, you know, it will open up stuff. It might take more than one tap, depends how much stuff and how you know, how your childhood and everything else has played out. You know, what stuff you've got there, you're holding down. It can get mine I was easy, but since then I've had other things tapped on, like, you know, I went back and had some more work done on my dad dying and the guilt, and my daughter got tapped on because she had to go to court and she was absolutely shitting herself, so she got tapped on for that, and that was a really good outcome. And